Ghost in the Shell preview. I am sick and tired about talking about the race issue about this film. Nobody's watched this film. I don't think they've watched the previews. They've just read articles, etc. Race, race, race. So nobody cares about this film. They don't care that's Ghost in the Shell, a part of art, etc. They're just hearing about the race issue. New Ghost in the Shell movie? Seriously, no one's excited about that? The previews even portray a Naziist bioterrorist thing going on with white scientists, and it still doesn't satisfy audiences. You're telling me you're offended that the villains of the film are white too? Are you kidding me? Other people are telling me she can be Chinese and she can be dyed, but she can't be white? What's the difference? These are the same people who got offended when Indians portrayed actors in The Last Airbender. It's not really whitewashing there, is it then, if it's not necessarily white? However, Scarlett being cast hurt as it was noticeable in the previews, as I mentioned before. When dropping from the building in certain scenes, you can tell that she was too emotional and not robotic enough to portray the Major. Like, if you're going to do something different, it's a risk. You risk alienating your audience, and if it's not better, people will freak out, and you will lose artistic cred. That's exactly the problem with this film. It's not an artistic, credible piece. It's business. And I don't know where they were going for that. It wasn't even good business. Like, when watching the Power Rangers movie, you can tell there were problems too. And Ghost in the Shell at least looks like a Ghost in the Shell movie and is a lot better produced. But Power Rangers just felt like it ran through its characters' plot and scripting, and like they went through like 3 different pilots like the show did or something. Overall, Scarlett wasn't cast because she was the best choice for the role, which definitely hurts as an art piece, as it was obvious when the film was made, but rather because they want to milk off the popularity of her roles in The Jungle Book, Avengers, and other Disney film franchises. The film seems rushed. Certain scenes copy Ghost in the Shell in the 1995 anime scene, and not only aren't original, but don't seem to have any context to them. Let's stop talking about Scarlett not being cast properly because she was white, which is in itself racist, because you're saying she can't play the role because of her race, because of her appearance, etc. Scarlett's casting is not right because she doesn't fit the character properly. She's not the right person, etc. Not to mention a lot of the choices in the film aren't made properly. They shoot Scarlett in a bed, being reprogrammed, but they don't bother to make her voice robotic like the sub and dub do in the anime, probably due to fear of losing the original sound of her voice to fans and audiences who watch the film for that. Now, it's not like Ghost in the Shell isn't a product about making money. However, when they're doing things such as picking the most popular celebrity opposed to actually casting the right person for the job to other things so that the film would do well in the box office, opposed to being an actual good film, that's a major problem. Scarlett being cast problem isn't because she's white. She's being cast is a problem because the executive screwed up who to hire for the role on a business decision and hurt what could have been a 5-star film, art film mind you, and an ultimate insult to a critic who have hurt the ratings of DC films. However, speaking of which, this film seems to be way better than a Marvel film. Anime-ish Tokyo and futuristic Tokyo designs. The robots are ripped straight from the Ghost in the Shell anime design, albeit I would have liked the Power Rangers approach of making them your own design, but spiritually the same. Also, there may be some racist white people who do end up watching a freaking film based off of Japanese anime, but like in Ghost of the Shell, really? Are you going for that kind of crowd? I don't know, maybe there's data for that. A lot of Trump supporters did get pissed off for Trump helping the rich and removing their Meals on Wheels deals. Like, you'd be surprised how many Republicans don't understand Republican stereotypes and how people just fall into it and they don't observe it. Same with Democrats then again. Also, I don't fault Scarlett for not doing anything. Big money, big project, expensive, great to have on the resume. She's great at action. I won't even say she did a bad job, but she just didn't meet up with the audience's goals of the movie and a vision of a director or artist. Heck, she may even be a Ghost in the Shell fan and just wanted to play the role of the Major. Is there anything wrong with that? Nothing criminal. It's just a hobby. Just a job you want to enjoy. She's not pushing a racist or genocidal agenda. She's just doing something that she may enjoy, but people don't feel that's right because of her race. That being said, nobody said anything about the Shachari, who were portrayed as a genocidal race with no personality in the Avengers film she was in a film that had way less thought than Ghost in the Shell. So, hypocrites. Aliens can be racist in a movie, but because a producer panicked and someone miscast someone, you didn't think they should play the race of that person. Good for you. That makes perfect sense. So A3 Foundation also made a big deal about this. Gerard Butler and Starship Troopers, which isn't even a recent movie, was mentioned. I went with Aloha, which was a little bit more obvious. I mean, Gerard Butler didn't have original material to go off of when creating Gods of Egypt. But it was obvious that artistically and even business-wise, he was supposed to make penis jokes in that film. Like, he was supposed to say it a certain way, and they understood that. Like, Hollywood isn't going to be made up of a cast of Death Samuski people, like on a PBS show, trying to educate people in the Quran or captivate that kind of crowd. Which H3 didn't do either, discussing the stuff in their like small Facebook posts. Like, they wanted to do a film for Americans, and you would like a film that would appease worldly people also, but like art. Gerard Butler did a good job, like he always does. He was well cast in that role. I have no objection to that. Later, A3 Foundation cites Starship Troopers as a film about Filipinos. I think it was probably made about other Latin Spanish people backgrounds, and not to mention the film was about whitewashing itself. Like, I guess you could hire a Carlton Banks Chinese person or Spanish person or Filipino person to play this whitewashing military group that brainwashes people into believing stuff and make it darker. But I don't know, I just in general think they didn't understand the premise of Starship Troopers in the 1997 film. Back to the Ghost in the Shell film. Rupert again makes an absolutely beautiful film that no one gives a crap about because the media doesn't like him. Because Kristen Stewart and now Scarlett Johansson and now these are mediocre films, but they're way better than some of the 90% films that critics are giving. At least there was a good script that the acting didn't match, although that was probably very disorienting. The script seemed to have been what a 2017 film about Ghost in the Shell could have been about, dealing with the identity in an age of science where everyone can be put on TV or replicated, or there could be, I mean, they could have added other stuff too, like material printing, cloning sheep, the rich getting even more ridiculously richer post 2000s, an update on America's thoughts on terrorism, but they didn't do that. They did some stuff like with the Salt storyline with the Major, but that was more, it was interesting and it was well adapted, but it seemed more of a business decision revolving around doing the whole film around Scarlett opposed to doing an art film. Anyway, Ghost in the Shell was made. It was expensive. It was completed on a big budget, which probably wasn't going to do well in March. And overall, it was a really big shame, really. Probably a film in the B to D range. I didn't actually watch, but from what I've seen, this is probably, I don't know, I've only watched like 10 minutes of it. This is what it seems like it's going to be. What are your thoughts? Comment below.